Good morning, church. It's a lovely day here on the green strip of the church property today. The birds are chirping and the sun's going. It's really nice. We've had a great whole week of weather, really. In this next few weeks, we're going to start a little series looking at Matthew chapter 10, and I'll be reading from the English Standard Version. You can follow in whatever you want. And we're going to break this into three sections. And so today obviously will be the first section. Now I'm not actually going to cover the first four verses. The first four verses, it just says that Jesus calls his disciples, the 12, to him, and then it names the 12. And then that's where we're going to pick up. So today I want to focus on verses 5 to 15. So it's 10 verses. And it reads from the ESV, "These 12 Jesus sent out, instructing them, 'Go nowhere among the Gentiles, and enter no town of the Samaritans, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Proclaim as you go, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse lepers, cast out demons. You receive without paying, give without pay. Acquire no gold, nor silver, nor copper for your belts, no bag for your journey, nor 2 tunics, nor sandals, nor staff, for the laborer deserves his food. And whatever town or village you enter, find out who is worthy in it, and stay there until you depart. As you enter the house, greet it. And if the house is worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it is not worthy, let your peace return to you. And if anyone will not receive you or listen to your words, shake off the dust from your feet when you leave that house or town. Truly I say to you, it will be more bearable on the day of judgment for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah than for that town." And so here Jesus is taking the 12, these guys who he has poured into for the last few years, discipling them, teaching them, correcting them, and really just growing them to be workers for the kingdom's purposes, for the will of God. And now he is sending them out. And it's interesting, he starts this by saying, do not go to the Gentiles or to the Samaritans. Now what this is not saying is this idea that the gospel is not for these people. Jesus clearly teaches that that is. And in fact, in their encounters with Jesus and other people in the last years of their ministry together, they encountered Romans and Samaritans and Greeks and all these people who Jesus ministered to and showed them that the message of Christ is not just for the Jew, but he's saying start here with the Jews, focus on them, these people who already have this base understanding of the ways of God, who have a base understanding of the law of God. Start with them and bring them back into line with what Jesus is presenting, the gospel there, and then we'll see that then carry on basically. He gives this point to say, don't overpack. Don't bring all these things with you. You don't need to bring 2 coats. Don't bring pouches of money. Don't bring, and he lists all these things, a staff and sandals and all this stuff. And a good point that we can pull from this is that sometimes God will call us to something, call us to reach out to people or to get involved in a ministry, and we think, well, first I have to go through this checklist, or first I have to fill my bag or pack my stuff or get ready, either in a physical, spiritual, or mental sense, to accomplish what God has called us to do. But the reality is just like the disciples here, and ourselves, and even back through the Old Testament with like Gideon and Moses, right? He calls us and he equips us. He calls us to do the work, and he provides what we need to accomplish that work. We are not called to God for his will and for his work based on what we bring to the table or anything that we would write down on a resume, but rather because we are willing, and then God enables us and works through us, that his glory might be shown more. And so he's telling them, don't overpack. Don't think that you need to bring these things. You will be provided for as you go. You'll have what you need. You won't have maybe abundance, but you also won't have nothing. You will be provided for. And then he tells them to heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse lepers, that was beforehand, sorry. And then he says, and whatever town or village you enter, Find out who is worthy in it and stay there until you depart. Once again, what this is not saying is find the wealthy person, or find the person of influence, or find the city councilor, or find anything that man would deem as a good quality to launch your ministry from. He's saying find the one who is worthy. And God before, or Jesus before in the Bible has taught, don't show partiality, don't care for the rich man more than the poor, but just treat people equally in that. And he's saying who is worthy. It's who will receive the gospel, who will allow their home to be used for the base of their mission work in that town, who is receptive of the gospel and the news and the message that the disciples are bringing. That is the person who is worthy. Launch out of their home. And then he says, as you enter the house, greet it, which was a common thing. And if the house is worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it is not worthy, let your peace return to you. And then he says, if no one will receive you or not listen to your words, shake off the dust from your feet when you leave. This was a classic symbol of judgment, of saying that, we have done all that we can. There's that saying, a common expression, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. The reality is in the gospel and the ways of God, all we can do is present that to people. It is up to them to choose it. And I find a lot of times people overcomplicate this, and they think that it rides on their shoulders to get, so-and-so saved, that it's something that they need to do. Oh, if I could only get the words right, or if I present it this way, or if I do a sermon, but I also give out a free iPad, or I do little schemes and tricks and all of this stuff. And the reality is that's not what we're supposed to do. Present the gospel. Like we talked about in the Sola series, in Glory to God, the Sola there, that all glory belongs to God. There needs to be something where people come to God because of who He is. There needs to be something where they accept the gospel message, not because of all these other things that we've tied to it and cluttered it with, but they accept the gospel message because of it at its core, what it is saying, at the foundation of what it is, that is what they are accepting, not all this other fluff that people push around it and clutter it with. That's not what we should be doing. But he's saying here that if they do not accept it, then move on. And that's sometimes harder to do than it is to say. It's really hard to move on from someone who we love desperately. And I've had to do this before, and it's extremely difficult. But what I leave it, and I leave it with the attitude of, I have said all that I can say. I've done all that I can do. This person knows that I'm here for them in crisis and in questions. They can turn to me, and absolutely I will have a listening ear, and I will give them wise counsel from a biblical perspective. But there's only so much I can do. And it's not a cop-out. It's saying I present, and God comes in, and if they're not willing to accept that, then they're not willing to accept that. And that is their free choice to do that. And it's hard at times, but it's also necessary. He says, truly I say to you, it will be more bearable on the day of judgment for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah than it will be for that town. There's this idea that some people have that, I didn't know. Well, you can't claim that. The gospel was presented to you. The truth was laid out before you. And you did know. You chose not to accept it. You chose to go against it. And they're caught in their sin. Anyways, that is Matthew chapter 10, verses 5 to 15. And next week we'll cover the next section there. We love you guys. We're excited to see in person some gatherings start to be possible. And just hope you have a great day and honor God in all that you do. We love you. Bye.